it higher. Put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit. I'ma make it burn, I'ma make it burn, I'ma make it burn, I'ma make it burn, I'ma make it burn.
And we are live. 07s for the thumbnail. Let's see some 07s in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in. You are watching the Barracks, your non-Euclidean network, bringing you the news from a multipolar world. I'm your host, Teray. We have a good show for you tonight. Before we get into it, with me, as always, is my host. Say his name 3 times in the mirror. He will appear. It is your friendly neighborhood Milkman. How you doing, Milk?
I'm doing all right. I've been experimenting with hats. I don't know. I got the MAGA hat here.
The Heisenberg hat. The Heisenberg hat is my favorite so far because the red hat
makes me look like a Fed.
Yeah, that's Patriot Front.
Like Patriot Front. This makes me look like Heisenberg.
Heisenberg is the way to go.
Stick with Heisenberg for now.
Bang Bang Void. What's the verdict?
Yeah, you like Heisenberg or
Patriot Front or Heisenberg?
I got the beanie over there too.
The beanie is also quite good, giving me
underground rapper
MF Doom vibes.
I think I'm gonna get a bunch and just cycle it. That's the plan. This hat here, all right.
Heisenberg hat is the way to go.
The idea was like a gumshoe vibe, like a film noir Private Eye, but that's not really how this turned out. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna keep working on it.
Well, yeah, we got. Yeah, we were trying to go for what was it? African president and gumshoe, and we just ended up with Mujahideen and serial killer.
Heisenberg. Yeah, like this. If he had kept going, maybe he would have been meeting with like Afghanistan opium dealers or something.
Yeah,
that's what we're bringing you tonight. Not really, but
yeah, we're gonna be covering everything. Yeah, just when you thought Canada couldn't have had any worse public relations, just when you thought Ukraine couldn't have had any worse Nazi connections, pagan Nazi connections. This weekend was sort of a nightmare situation if you were Justin Trudeau, because on Saturday during the meeting of Canadian Parliament, Zelensky was giving one of his many globe-trotting, begging for money speeches on tour, begging for more money for Ukraine, typical stuff. And of the many standing ovations given that night, Twitter is going crazy for the moment where all of the members of Ukrainian parliament were giving a standing ovation, 2 standing ovations, to one 98-year-old man who Canadian media described as a Ukrainian veteran who fought during World War II for independence from Russia. And many people all over the internet went, that's a weird way to put that. What was Ukraine doing during World War II, I wonder? What was Grandpa doing?
Grandpa, no.
What was Grandpa doing between 1941 and 1945 in Ukraine? Lo and behold, in a very short amount of time, the 98-year-old Ukraine veteran of the 1st Ukrainian Division, weird way to put that, was ousted as none other than a man named Yaroslav Hunka, who was a former member of the 14th Division of the Waffen-SS Galicia Division. Just a 98-year-old Nazi giving a glowing standing ovation from all of the members of Ukrainian parliament. Very big embarrassment for the entire Canadian government. Turns out this is not the first time this has happened. Canada is a Nazi country after all. But this is the first time that a lot of people noticed. So before we get into it, because there's just the more people are digging up details about this whole Nazi veneration in Canada, it's just the deeper the rabbit hole goes, the more you realize just that everyone in Canadian Parliament, not only it's not like U.S. Congress where they all go overseas to where it's like John McCain going over to Ukraine and just rubbing elbows with a bunch of Nazis, which he did. No, this is in Parliament, in the sovereign house of government. Just lots and lots of members, not only former Nazis, but the grandchildren of Nazis, just all up and down the Canadian government, leading us to the conclusion once and for all that Canada must be liberated. America must invade and liberate Canada. We're going to go over the juicy details because they just keep coming out every hour or so. There's more details keep coming out. Before that, we have to stand in solidarity, critical support for Eddie Liger of Midwestern Marks.
Support. Come on. We don't have to qualify it. We support. I'm sick of this critical support stuff. What if we just didn't qualify it?
No, I mean urgent support.
Oh, that's not what that means. That's what leftists say when they're like, we're defending China, but also we don't like China.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, that's usually how it's used. No, okay, I see what you mean. Like critical, there's alarms going off and we got to defend. Yeah, okay, yeah. That's not usually what people mean by that, though. But anyway, the alarms are going off because Midwestern Marks is under attack by the fucking land backers, who are really the other side of this coin. They have way more in common with these Canadian Parliament Nazis than they do with us and Midwestern Marks. Mm-hmm. Because there's 3 options for the historical subject. It's either the individual, which is what liberals believe. It's critical. Okay, I got it. It's critical that we urgently support. Anyway, there's the individual, which is what liberals believe. It's like great man theory. That's what they teach you in school, right? When you learn history in school, they teach you each individual in succession. It's class, which is what communists believe. I shouldn't need to explain that. And then there's race, which is what the Nazis believe. And that's what land backers believe. So yeah. They're not actually communists because they don't view the world in terms of class. They view it in terms of race. So they're like, oh, well, land reform is an important part of every mark. Yeah, land reform based on class, not based on race. That's Lebensraum. That's Zionism. That's what that is. And that's what land back is. And I know they act like they just posture like this is self-evidently ridiculous, but yeah, you're making the exact same argument that Zionists make. They say oh, we were on the land 1,000 years ago, so it's ours. Okay. It's just woke Zionism.
These 30 people who live in the Amazon jungle want the rest of the country to not have petroleum.
They don't. These people don't represent indigenous Native Americans at all. They're all white. I don't believe them when they say they're indigenous. It's fucking Liz Warren hours. They're maybe 1024th Pawnee or something.
The Tuareg rebels being armed and trained by French intelligence deserve to have their Republic of Azawad.
It's ridiculous, and they never talk about like how, who owns the land. Is it just white people own the land? No, BlackRock owns all the land. They don't talk about that because it's a blatantly anti-populist movement, the land back. You're never going to win support by saying, oh, we're going to kick you off your land. But it doesn't need to be populist because they have the support of the bourgeoisie, because the land is going back to BlackRock. That's what's really going to happen here. Like
the Rockefellers too. Yeah. Let me talk about the Rockefellers while you pull up the tweets.
Yeah, let me pull some up.
So for those, first of all, now we got a
this
couple
mask
people
is
in the room.
falling apart. Shit, I gotta get a new mask. All right, forget it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Speaking of TwitterX.com, since we got a few people in the room, make sure to go and follow the Barracks on Twitter. You know we're on Twitter. You know we're on Telegram. Links in the chat right now. Go and support your Marxist-Leninist reporting. Intelligence with a multipolar perspective. And yeah, just for people who don't know, we did a stream about Marina Abramovich over the weekend, of which I went greatly into detail about her connections to the Rockefeller Foundation. And if you look into, and these large spooky foundations have websites, you can go and check for yourself. So if you go onto the Rockefeller Foundation's website, an offshoot of the Rockefeller Foundation, RockefellerBrothersFoundation.org, like a huge part of their about page just goes to the decades and decades and decades long campaigns that they've done, not just for population control, for pushing Planned Parenthood, for pushing this idea of overpopulation, that we need to stop having children. But a big part of the marriage of this degrowth, depopulation is also degrowth of hamstringing critical energy supplies, especially in developing countries, where they just give all of this money to land defenders. They're the ones who came up with that term. The Rockefellers are the one who came up with the term land defenders. Like, anyone who calls themselves that is 100% paid for by the Rockefellers. If they're not if they're not just outright doing the work of spooks for free.
Turtle Island is another one.
Turtle Island
was made up by white people.
Yeah, these two spirit land defenders. Both terms that were coined in the 90s.
Look,
when Pocahontas and Dances with Wolves came out, all these think tanks came up with terms of how to use indigenous identity to split class solidarity. These are the kinds of people that.
All right, I sent you a couple tweets.
Yeah.
Let's pull up this Fox Green one too, which is a great tweet. Yeah, so here, this is what they fucking do when you challenge them. You don't even understand what land back is. This is a genuinely pathetic response. Nobody understands what it is because they never explain it. They just say this. But I understand what it is. It's a fucking psyop to exploit white guilt to make people support it when they're getting evicted by fucking BlackRock. That's what it is. And this person is telling us they're indigenous. This cow person has been going back and forth with ratioing Eddie all day somehow. But I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Because I think it's all white people. It's all white guilt. All these, like, the biggest anti-white people are all white. That's like undeniable. And also they've got the trans flag. So, like, am I going to believe this person when they say they're indigenous? I mean, come on. Anyway, in my opinion, Eddie's playing way too nice with these people just because they call themselves communists. But like I said, they're not. They have way more in common with that guy who is getting applauded by Ukraine Parliament than they do with Eddie, because Eddie views the world based on class, and they view it based on race, and it's like a self-flagellation thing where they have to repent for being white and living in America, and they feel guilty. And this all started, by the way, this whole thing started because Eddie posted an American flag where the stars were like a hammer and sickle, and they hate the American flag. They hate it. And it's like, it's so, how is this going to be a popular movement if you hate the American, like most people don't hate the American flag. Most people like this country, who live here, like this country and want it to be better. And what they're upset about is that the people in power don't give a shit about us. It's America first, right? That's what people are upset about. And then these people come in and they're like even more extreme. They're burning the American flag, and it's like you post it. It's like you post the American flag. It's like a crucifix to a vampire. And it's like, how are you ever expecting to win support from anyone if like everyone likes the 4th of July, you go to your 4th of July barbecue, and then I guess one of these people shows up and just starts screaming that everyone's celebrating a genocide, and then it's like, oh, donate to my NDN collective after. Like, what's the path to power here, you know? Well, the path to power is getting paid by Jeff Bezos, because that's what's happening, and that's why these people exist and are on Twitter ratioing Eddie, because they're getting money from the ruling class. They are the other side of the coin, two sides of the same coin of Azov. They are pretty much Azovites. They're not us. Just because they call themselves communists, they are not like us. So that's really important to remember. And I think Eddie should be going harder on these people, honestly, but he'll learn.
Yeah, I mean, we'll all learn when we're brought into direct like war with one of the key projects of the land back movement, which is going to war to defend our American interests in Taiwan. Taiwan is 100% part of the same trajectory of land back movements. And it's, people don't want to admit it. Me, as a reformed land back leftist, I was like for many years, I can 100% tell you that is the ideology all from top to bottom. I put this tweet up here responding because Eddie was being, very, like you said, like way too generous. So I just need to lay it out in the open. Like, I spent years with these people. I spent years organizing with these people. And I know just how, crazy it makes you. And it's 100% a dictatorship of ethnic groups over territory. Not like you said, not based on the productive forces of society having dictatorship over those forces of production. It's not a class dictatorship. It is a race dictatorship. It is first and foremost a bloodline having the say over regional development, which, if you're a NATO Nazi like Gunther Fellinger, is great news.
Look, I like Gunther, dude.
Gunther is a very.
I think he's a sleeper agent. I think he's a communist sleeper agent trying to make NATO look ridiculous. Anyway, it's like, the other thing is, it's just so detached from reality, like as most political ideologies are. But like, okay, my parents are working class. They own property. They spent 30 years paying off a mortgage, and they own their house outright. So if this cow person shows up in their wig and tells them, well, I'm 1/2 of 58th Pequot, so you're white, this house is mine now. Who's the thief? Who's really the thief here? Like, and that's obviously what the ruling class wants. They want people to own nothing and be happy. So like, how do you not put that together? You'll own nothing and be happy. Well, how will you manufacture consent for people owning nothing? Well, you all have this original sin of white guilt. So sorry, you can't have a house anymore. I mean, I don't think it'll get to that point, because that's really absurd, but who knows? We live in an absurd world, guys. As is evidenced by Canada's parliament. And I mean, do you want to move on, or do you want to bring up the Fox thing? Which I feel like we've.
No, we had Fox Green on the show.
Yeah, we've gotten our dunks in. Yeah. So anyway, what I love about this Canada thing is that all the liberals are flaming it as like, wow, this is such bad optics. Like this is such a it's like a whoopsie, like oopsie daisy. Whoops amongst us has not accidentally given a standing ovation to a Nazi veteran. It could happen to anybody. But the thing is, like, it's actually they did it because it's an optics W, because the people who are actually doing the fighting are just like this guy. And it's more important to have their support than to have the support of some bumpkin in a it's actually not the bumpkins, it's the like glasses wearers. Either way, but yeah, it's like they just pushed it a little too far. I don't know. I feel like it's been obvious since the beginning these people are Nazis. Zelensky posted a fucking Totenkopf on VE Day. I remember that. That was crazy. NATO posted a black sun on International Women's Day. This shit's been going on for a while.
Every day I scroll through Twitter and just people with Ukrainian flags in their bios, just blatantly ignoring all the Sonin rods and all the wolf angels. I had a guy. Swastikas.
This is true. I legitimately had a guy
asking themselves like, "Oh, that's a funny tattoo you got there."
Listen. I legitimately had a guy on Twitter try to tell me that the Sonenrad was the wheel of a pirate ship. That happened. I think I saw the screenshots.
He'll be saying that right up until the second he's kicking in your door with a flamethrower and torching your family.
Would they die? Would they die for it? That's the question. Would they die before they admitted that, like, oh shit, I support Nazis? But anyway, is there a clip or something, or should we just get into it?
Yeah. So over the weekend, now that people are in the room, over the weekend, Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, was giving another globe-trotting begging tour, where this time at Canadian Parliament, he had a couple of interesting guests in the room. Of the many standing ovations given that night, one very important one was given to this man here, one Yaroslav Hunka. Let's take a listen to how the Canadian media describes this cute old man, this adorable old man. What could go wrong?
Canadian. Zelensky's speech received at least a dozen standing ovations. There was also one for this man, a 98-year-old Ukrainian Canadian who fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians during the Second World War. Zelensky's...
Dude, I saw people try to claim, like, oh, we just didn't know the history well enough. It's like, well, then you're an idiot. I mean, what do you think that meant? There were two sides in World War II in Ukraine.
This was the watershed moment where many people on the internet said to themselves, that was a weird way to describe this old man. What was Ukraine doing during World War II? And immediately, the entire internet was looking at, and this is reporting by DD Geopolitics, DD_Geopolitics, Donbass Debushka. Very good channel. I suggest you follow them. They are doing a lot of reporting on the Russian special military operation, and just pointed out that this 98-year-old Ukrainian veteran who was fighting for Ukrainian independence against Russia during World War II was none other than Yaroslav Hunka, whose division fighting for Ukrainian independence was the Waffen-SS Galicia Division of the Nazi army, under Heinrich Himmler. So the more people looked into this guy, the more, two things happened. The more the Canadian government tried to backtrack and apologize and distance themselves from this horrendously embarrassing moment of having been outed. Trudeau came out with statements of placing blame on someone else,
Yeah, he said it was Russian propaganda.
Russian disinformation. I have the clip pulled up. I bookmarked all of these. People saying that we had no idea who this man was. The event was not and the guest list was not vetted. All of these different kinds of excuses, and as we will see, lies. That was the first thing that happened. The second thing that happened was people just did a little bit more digging into Yaroslav Hunka, a man who was not shy about having burned thousands of Polish villagers to death during World War II. Because as Don Bash-Debushka, the DD Geopolitics page, had uncovered, he was also a co-editor of a little known book. Maybe you've heard of it. Let me see if I can. A little known history book. The History of the Galicia Division of the Waffen-SS, Volume 1, on the Eastern Front, where he is credited as being one of the editors. Just detailing, there he is, Yaroslav Hunka. Detailing his many war crimes. The type of guy.
They just pushed it a little bit too far, because I've been seeing a lot of people saying, like, are we really here? Like, are we really at a point where the Nazis are rehabilitated for liberals? And it's like, we've been here since February 2022. The liberals have been supporting Nazis since the war began. And here they just pushed it like a little bit too far, because nobody can deny that this guy is a Nazi. Like, he is. If he's not a Nazi, then the word doesn't mean anything. Like, look, there he is. It's like straight from the History Channel. So they can't deny this one. But, like, I mean, the sad fact is, like, do you think this is going to have any impact on fucking liberals supporting the war? I mean, this, first of all, already happened in Greece. Zelensky brought some Azov guy to the Greek parliament. These Azov wives went and visited the Pope. Like, it's been clear, not to mention, as we mentioned, all the fucking, they can't post a photo of Ukrainian soldiers without them being fucking plastered in fascist patches. And people are still just, it doesn't look like anything to me. So we're already here. It's already rehabilitated. They just pushed it a little bit too far by dragging out this, like, geriatric fucking Dr. Strangelove in his wheelchair. They just pushed it a little bit too far. And, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm being cynical. Maybe this is going to wake some people up. But, like,
I mean, what it'll do is it will further push it'll further create these two camps. It'll clarify for everyone involved what the two camps of the Ukraine war are. You have the general public, who has already had enough of the Ukraine war, who is suffering from Ukraine fatigue, and just wants the war to be over. Like, even if they didn't realize that Ukraine is Nazis, they know that Zelensky is a fraudster, and have nothing to do with having their taxpayer money be sent overseas for hundreds of thousands of people to be dying in a war.
What does that mean, Ukraine fatigue? It's like they're fatigued of him the same way they were fatigued of, like, Joffrey on Game of Thrones. It's not like this has actually affected anyone. It's just spectacle for us here. And it's like, but it's not a spectacle. It's actually something that's happening. And it's like, engage your critical faculties a little bit. Like, dig under the surface. Remember the Iraq war when they were all fucking lying? Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was that this whole, like, supporting them cheering for Nazis is not actually surprising at all. And it's not just from February 22. This is what Nazism has been since the start. This is always what it was. It's not that Canada is a Nazi country. It's that both Canada and Nazi Germany were Anglo-American Empire countries. And this was true from the very beginning. So, I don't know. Do you want to get into this now, or do you want to pull something else up first? Because I could.
Yeah, I have more clips here. So this is immediately after people started calling out the Canadian government, Justin Trudeau. This is the clip that came out of him rather than acknowledge that his entire parliament is infested with Nazis. This is his official statement. This is who he blames. He doesn't blame the Nazis in Ukraine, the Azovites and the Banderites, Sieg Heiling, during their pagan rituals in the woods where they're having gay orgies. This was his statement.
Obviously, it's extremely upsetting that this happened. The speaker has acknowledged his mistake and has apologized. But this is something.
His mistake, his whoopsie, his oopsie daisy.
It could have happened to anyone. It could have happened to anyone.
Parliament of Canada and by extension to all Canadians. I think particularly of Jewish MPs and all members of the Jewish community across the country who are celebrating commemorating Yom Kippur today. I think it's going to be really important that all of us
on Yom Kippur of all days.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it was intentional. Maybe they did. Maybe they were just trying to do a little test drive.
I'll explain this.
Yom Kippur is a very important holiday.
Yeah, fucking the shit was closed down today. But anyway, what's happening? Okay, so this guy's not like in power. I mean, nobody believes that, right? What the Canadian Parliament's job actually is just it's just a mask. It's just a pretty face. Especially, I mean, Trudeau. You know, my mom has a crush on him, so yeah, it's just a pretty face to put on the empire in Canada, so that people don't they're like, oh, Slava Ukraine, yeah, it's not a big deal. The people who are actually run Canada are not like that. They are 100%. Yeah, we like the Nazis because they kill communists. Okay, so their job is just to water down the agenda, which is the same as in World War II. We're going to fund the Nazis to fight Russia. Their job is to just water down that agenda and make it palatable to the average person, so that the cognitive dissonance doesn't just fry their liberal brains and leave them lobotomized on the couch in front of the TV. Now, so Nazism has always been, this is what Nazism has always been. And they always make it about Jews, but it really wasn't about Jews. I mean, unless you want to get schizo with it.
Yeah, it was about defeating the Soviet Union. Here's who
exactly.
Listen how Justin Trudeau, listen what Justin Trudeau says.
Yeah, okay, let him finish. And then I'll keep going.
Russian disinformation and continue our steadfast
you hear that?
Attack against
Russian disinformation.
Yeah. Russian disinformation and continue our steadfast and unequivocal support for Ukraine, as we did last week with announcing further measures to stand with Ukraine in Russia's illegal war against it.
This is exactly what Hitler did, by the way. Hitler just called everything Judeo-Bolshevik, and then it doesn't matter. And it's what Nazis on Twitter today do. They just, everything they don't like, they call Jewish. Oh shit, did we lose Teray? Teray, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Just moving locations.
Okay, you're just dark. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Anyway, and so that's what he's doing. It's just Russian, so it's bad. Anyway, the point of Nazism was, okay, so in 1918, after the Russian Revolution, all these countries that were supposedly at war and at each other's throats all got together and invaded the Soviet Union. France, the US, UK, they all got together, 15 different countries, and invaded the Soviet Union because that was the real threat. World War II was a kayfabe war. It was like that wasn't because of what do they teach you in school? Franz Ferdinand? Yeah, that's bullshit. They had a war because war is a racket, right? Because war is profitable. Now, all the bankers and the bourgeoisie in all these countries, they made a killing off the war. They were never really at each other. They're doing business. Business is booming. They're happy. Now, the communists throw a wrench into that because the workers actually take power. They kill the Romanovs, which people really didn't like because it's their family. They're all incestuous. They're all related to each other. So it was literally their family of the British and Dutch and Spanish royal families. And then after the war, Germany was just completely destroyed by the Treaty of Versailles, which, by the way, was written by the Dulles brothers. If you didn't know that, they were lawyers. They wrote the Treaty of Versailles. And Germany was completely at the mercy of finance capital. You all know the stories about wheelbarrows full of marks. It was a completely destroyed economy at their mercy. So what they did was a bunch of these financiers who were in Skull and Bones, this Yale secret society, went in to start funding Germany to build it up as a bulwark against communism. Prescott Bush, Averell Harriman, George Herbert Walker were the three main guys. They met up with this guy Fritz Thyssen and his father August Thyssen, who had a monopoly on steel, and they start Union Bank or Union Banking Corporation in the Netherlands, because the Dutch royal family were also big Nazis. Prince Bernhard was a card-carrying Nazi. All the nobles, because they hated the Bolsheviks, all the bankers, because they don't want the working class to rise up, in every country, all get together and start funding this guy. It's like when a rich guy hires some thug to go like break your legs because he won't pay his debt, except they did that with a whole country. And it was just to destroy the Soviets. And they make it about Jews today. That was what it was for Rubes. It was about Jews for the Rubes, okay? Like the Groypers, that's who it was about Jews for. But for the people who were actually calling the shots, it was about destroying the Soviet Union. It wasn't Judaism, it was Judeo-Bolshevism. And that's what it was about the whole time. 27 million Soviets died. You know, those get counted as victims of Stalin, though. And Hitler only killed 6 million because only the Jews count, I guess. But anyway, it was supported by the ruling class from the start. When the war ends, because they were defeated by the Red Army, they got plowed. All the fucking Nazis get brought over, Operation Paperclip. They get put into NATO, they get put into the CIA, they get put into NASA. And it's the same people. I mean, because the guys who got put on trial at Nuremberg were just a bunch of lumpen degenerates. Like Hitler, as I say, Hitler was not a painter, he was a tramp. I hate that meme where they say, like, oh, Freud and Stalin and Trotsky and Hitler were all living in like, because it implies that Hitler had a home. He didn't. Like Today in a Space, Jackson said Hitler reminded him of a homeless crackhead. That's what he was. He was a homeless crackhead that got put in a fancy Hugo Boss suit, given a shitload of marks, and got up and got high on meth. They called it Pervitin, and it was sold over the counter. Got jumped up on speed and just screamed, Eischen. He's a homeless crackhead. He's literally a crackhead. And because he's got the nice suit, nobody fucking realizes who these people are. Those are the guys that get put on trial. The guys who orchestrated this whole thing, Skull and Bones, right? The Harrimans, the Bushes, George Herbert Walker, they're the guys who orchestrated this. They even put the Skull and Bones on the hat, right? The Totenkopf, it's a Skull and Bones. They get off scot-free. If in the 30s, before the Nazis established their Brown House, the mailing address for the Nazi Party was 39 Broad Street, Manhattan, New York, because that's where Harriman and Bush had their offices. That was the mailing address for the Nazi Party. These were the guys in charge. These are the guys in charge of the operation. They profited hugely, and nothing happened to them. Not only that, they tried to overthrow FDR to establish a Hitler at home. In the business plot, they never got held accountable. Eventually, that office was seized under the Trading with the Enemy Act under FDR, but that's it. They should have been executed for treason. They should have been hung for treason. But that didn't happen because they were so powerful and because FDR wasn't Stalin. So, you know, Prescott Bush was one of these people. Well, his son, George H.W. Bush, killed fucking JFK and then became president. And then his son became president and did 9/11. So the business plot eventually worked. Like the people who actually funded and like the masterminds behind the Nazi movement, they didn't lose the war. They won the war because they were in America and they were the Allies and they got to take credit for the Soviets' win. They're in power here now. They've been in power my whole life. And it should be no surprise. Oh, the Bank of England also, Montague something. He was the Chancellor of the Bank of England. You can go read in like the fucking Guardian that he was laundering their money. They were going into Czechoslovakia, stealing a bunch of gold, and he was laundering it for them. It's rumored that there is still gold in the Bank of England vaults with the swastika printed on it. They've still got Nazi gold. I can't confirm that because there's no laws for them. They can do whatever they want. But they were funding the Nazi Party. even though, you say, they're bombing Britain. Yeah, they weren't bombing the city of London. They're not British. It's the city of London. It's their own fucking country. Anyway, hanged. Ah, shit.
Yeah.
All right.
So there are there are two more things posts that I had bookmarked that are worth going over, just because.
This is definitely worth going over. But let me wrap up. The point is, it should not be surprising that Canada are cheering on this Nazi, because that's who these people have been the whole time. Since the Nazis first existed, this ruling class, that's who they are. These are the real Nazis. The fucking crackheads that got put in Hugo Boss suits were not the real Nazis. It was these guys who are still in power. So, of course, like, the parliament's cheering Nazis. It's because their mask slipped a little bit. Because the whole point of parliament is to whitewash this reality for you that you're ruled by, pagan Nazi freaks. And the mask slipped a little bit. It shouldn't be surprising at all. More people, it's just people don't know. They don't teach it to you in school,
Yeah,
They
and
just teach you
it's
that
not
Hitler
just the
was
United
so
States. Yeah, there's
good at, such a great leader that's why it happened.
Yeah, everyone at this point knows about like Operation Paperclip in the United States, and they think that Canada is just this joke country. But Canada, I have an article pulled up from Sputnik Globe specifically, that details like the decades-long history of Canada harboring Nazis and putting them into government. That's one of the clips here too. But yeah, this post here, I thought. And I just thought it was particularly funny, considering our opening icebreaker about the pronoun people and the land back people. Everyone, it's the LGBT to Nazi pipeline once again confirmed. Because as Trudeau was saying, and people in the Canadian Parliament were saying, they had no idea who this guy was. Like, oh, he was not vetted. Like, it must have been some mistake. People were uncovering on Facebook that the daughter-in-law of Yaroslav here, Teresa Hunka, took a picture of old grandpa in Justin Trudeau's office, awaiting a private meeting with this 98-year-old member of and a former Nazi soldier, having a private meeting with Trudeau and Zelensky, implying that both of those men know who this is. You don't have a private meeting with 98-year-old Pop and like learn his name, his background, without understanding that, yes, this was a member of the Waffen-SS Galicia, who burns villagers to death, who committed mass atrocities. So this is that on its own is very funny, just being exposed like that.
He might not know, dude. He's a himbo of the highest order. He might not know.
And then and then on the same daughter-in-law also posting like the trans flag, rainbow flag, LGBT, CIA, hold hand, love is love type messaging on Facebook. So for those of you who think that because you have that flag in your bio that you can't possibly, like, it doesn't make sense to call me a Nazi, I'm pro-gay, like, pushing this propaganda is 100% the ideology of the eugenics degenerate Nazi ruling class. Like, the Nazis were very gay. Hitler was transgender. People don't want to talk about this.
They tested his skull as a woman's skull. I'm just saying. Trust the science. Hashtag trust the science.
Wignats are seething, but that's just a historical fact. Yeah, come for your mans. He's got very feminine hips.
Well, I kind of want to go out about Wignats too.
The trans to Nazi pipeline confirmed. Like the.
Oh, have you seen that guy? Some guy was going viral today. Some Himmler about like he has the gay flag and he's doing all the like Nazi apologia stuff. And it's like, yeah, I don't know where this idea came from that they were incompatible at all. Like, they were like pimps and homeless like drug dealers. They were doing all kinds of degenerate stuff. Yeah, and there were a bunch of pedophiles too. It was like anything goes. That's what it was. It was a lumpen dictatorship. That's what fascism is. It's when the bourgeoisie pays off a bunch of lumpen to just like the apes run the zoo, and they just do whatever they want and like break shit and kill people and fuck each other. That's what it is. Of course they're degenerates, and it's really
You
funny.
mean TSL?
It's really funny that the Wignats act like this is such a ridiculous thing to say. Like, how could you say the Nazis were degenerates from like behind an anime profile picture? Like posting like anime girls like hugging Hitler and shit. Like you're like that today. Like everything we accuse the Nazis of, you also are right now. Like you're a living confirmation of everything that we say. Like you are a kiss ass of the elite. You just want to serve your like they explicitly say they just want to replace the Jews with themselves, right? Like that's their whole project. They just want to go be the Renfields of the ruling class. And the way the ruling, it's like, and the ruling class, like, yeah, they'll take it. It's like they're like in the friend zone. It's like a dick in glass. It's like, well, if we ever need you, if shit ever really gets hairy, yeah, we'll give you a bunch of money and you can just go hog wild, right?
The CIA
But,
will give you a phone call, and you'll get a one-way plane ticket to Bakhmut.
Yeah, but until then, we're gonna use you as an excuse to censor people. It's like they're currently they currently got a steady thing going with the girl dads and the wine moms, but like if that ever breaks down, they got this like little friend zoned incel, the Nazis that they can go start funding them instead.
Yeah. Before I play this next clip, I just want to remind y'all we have a new Rumble page. I think we're streaming to Rumble right now.
I believe we are. Yeah, first stream to Rumble.
You are probably already following us on X.com. Make sure to follow us on Rumble. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, we're going to get banned eventually, so follow us on Rumble. Because when the next current thing drops, I'm not going to be censoring myself. I promise you that.
And the best place to get the topics that we'll be discussing before we go live is on Telegram. Make sure to follow us on Telegram. It's a very useful app. I highly recommend it. Go and give us a follow. Links in the chat. Let's get some more energy in this goddamn chat. There's
get that non-Euclidean intelligence on Telegram.
Yeah, there are 7 of y'all, and I'm only seeing 3 people in the chat. I'm gonna need to see some Thunderdome style tactics here to outdo each other, to start a bloody battle in the chat for who can have the most energy here. But yeah, for the last clip I have bookmarked here. Just to
Screws Annabelle is currently winning the chat with this. Whoops, there's been a mix-up at the Democracy Factory. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Shout out to Captain Waffles.
We do accept Gorilla Sun currency here. We got an exchange rate going.
Absolutely. And then so the last clip I have bookmarked, just to make it entirely clear, just that Trudeau is lying when he says he doesn't know who Yaroslav Hunka is, and just like, oh, he was not in my office. I was not giving a private lap dance to a 98-year-old Waffen Nazi. Here is.
Oh God! Thanks for that mental image, Teray.
I got the truth hurts. A member of Canadian Parliament just talking about how the guest list was 100% vetted. Everyone knew who this guy was.
On Friday, a Nazi was given not only a seat in the chamber, but also given a very warm and honoring welcome. Now, this never should have happened. In fact, a list of all guests was given to this government well ahead of time and was thoroughly vetted. Yet somehow this individual...
Yeah, when she says like everyone in the government, the video that we played at the beginning that went viral, that has like 2 million impressions on Don Bash-Davushka's Twitter, DD Geopolitics. If you notice in the video, 3 seats down from Hunka is the Minister of Defense of the country. Like, that guy knew. They all know.
Yeah, of course he. Well, that guy especially knows.
That guy especially.
Individual was celebrated. So does the Liberal government truly expect Canadians to believe that they really had no clue?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I have clearly laid the facts on the table several times today. And
Pay attention to this
in fact,
person right
the only
here.
person who invited this individual and decided
Mother
to
Gothel
recognize them
in the corner.
was the Speaker of the House.
Too many
The
women.
Parliamentary Protective Service followed all security protocols to ensure the security of the event. However, I agree with the member opposite. This should have never
Wait.
happened. This is
What did
What
they
I-
think this 90-year-old man was gonna leap out of a wheelchair with like a dagger or something? Like, what do you mean the security? It's not about security.
I mean,
It's
the,
again, the framing is that like, oh, it's not that we shouldn't be supporting Nazis, it's that we need to have good optics about the fact that we're supporting Nazis, right? Like, bring that guy around back, and we'll bring him in through the back door. Bring him in through the back door and give him the lap dance in the back room, but don't bring him out in front. Like, what are you thinking? That's the criticism,
Don't put-
Because
yeah,
that's
don't-
people's job.
don't put Grandpa on kiss cam. Grandpa has a couple of weird tattoos on his neck. He has a couple of weird tattoos that he got in his army days. No, he doesn't want to talk about them. So the best part about this clip, just not just exposing Trudeau as a liar, is again just the Nazi deep state of Canada. This woman right there in the bottom left corner who was nodding, the one who looks like a witch. Again, people keep digging into it, and you throw a stone in Canadian Parliament, you hit a Nazi. Is this person in the corner is Chrystia Freeland, whose grandfather was Mike, a collaborator, like a Nazi collaborator who edited the Nazi propaganda newspaper Krakowski Visti. Max Blumenthal was making some posts also, just like pulling up old newspapers from the 80s, like this old Nazi newspaper. Here it is. Yeah, Chrystia Freeland launched her journalistic career at the Ukrainian Weekly. So not even just her grandfather. It's not even just like, oh man, my grandfather was a Nazi, but I'm not. No, she began her career writing for a Nazi newspaper. This person is in Canadian Parliament. As much as I find the members of American Congress and the American deep state absolutely vile and disgusting, we should disband Congress and throw everyone in jail. Like Lindsey Graham saying that he supports the Ukrainian government because killing Russians was the best money we've ever spent. They're all ghouls, and people like John McCain was friends with a lot of Nazis. But as far as I know, no one in Congress is actually a Nazi. In Canada, they just they just skip the formalities and start writing for Nazi newspapers and start marrying into Nazi families and inviting them into Parliament. It's like Canada is from top to bottom infiltrated by this direct lineage to Hitler, and it needs to be invaded. Canada must be liberated. #annex Canada in the comments.
I've been seeing that catch on with I saw Ian Miles Chong of all people tweeting #Annex Canada. So I'm just saying, people understand the reality at play here underneath all the noise.
Yeah,
I wanted to speak to the Wignats a little bit, because the Wignats seem to think Nazism is the ultimate dissident ideology. It's so dangerous, and the ruling class is so scared of it.
The
Look
most
at this.
canceled ideology.
They're clapping for a literal, this is your boy. This is who you're making those vaporwave cringe edits about. They gave him a standing ovation, and then the whole cover up is not oh, maybe we should rethink our geopolitical stance because we're supporting Nazis. It's oh, we let the masks slip. That's the whole criticism. I don't know what's going on out there. We let the mask slip, and it's so frustrating. I'm starting to realize that all these Wignats are super young, because Nick Fuentes was posting his Telegram the other day about one of his fans who was 13, and they were all like solidarity and like backing up because like his mom told him to stop watching Nick Fuentes, and it's like, okay, wait a minute, like this guy was 12 a year ago. Like, I think these are all kids, but you got to grow up sometime. So I'm coming for you anyway. It's like they had this thought that, wait, what if they're censoring things not because they're false, but because they're true? And this was so genius, such a genius insight, that it just like the whole reality around them came crashing down. It's like, actually, the Nazis are good. Actually, being gay isn't like the highest moral you can achieve. And it's like, okay, like you think no one else could ever have thought of this. Like, you live in the PR empire. You live in the empire of lies. Edward Bernays was doing his shit 100 years ago. It's been 100 years since then. Okay, the whole system this is a real power. This is a real power of the empire is PR. That's why ISIS exists, because of PR, because they recruit Muslims into this crazy cult. You know, that's why all these color revolutions. What do? They aren't sending in weapons. They don't send in weapons. Well, they do send in weapons, but what they really send in are the NGOs, and they get the students, and they get the feminists, and they get the gays, and whatever ideology they can like cobble together into. That's how they do it. It's the PR empire. So this is what these people do. They've dominated most of the globe doing this, and you think like, oh, but they say it's bad, and it's actually good. Like, oh, you got it. You outfoxed them. Like fucking genius. It's like, no. Nazism is supposed to look sexy, okay? It's supposed to look like the most, because they know there are people who are going to be unsatisfied because it's a shitty system and everyone's broke out here. So, like, yeah, there's going to be people who are going to get pissed off at the system. And then when you do, it's like, well, what do they hate? Well, it's Nazi shit. Oh, it's so spooky. They never translate Hitler's speeches. What is he saying? He could be saying anything. He's so worked up, though, and he's on History Channel, you know, every night giving his untranslated spooky speeches, and it's like, oh, you're not allowed to say it. That communism stuff is gay, so we're not even going to think about that, right? That's how you really make something unappealing. And anyway, and then they just go all in on this. And if you like argue with these people, that's all they have, right? Like they always act like history is just like unknowable, you know? Like, the argument will always be like, oh, well, things are not always as they seem. Like the victors write the history. And like, well, I guess that shit works on 13-year-olds, you know. But if you've already sort of figured that shit out, they don't have anything to fill it with, because if you act like they just act like the history can't be known and it's just like some great secret, and then Nazism is just there to fill that void. Because if you actually like do read the history, which is knowable, you've got to like read some books. They're rats, and they're obviously rats, and they are lumpen. And they're drug dealers, pimps, and tramps, and they're all pagans.
Loud Shark in the chat says Nazis are socialists. Are you saying that because you're upset to have found out today that your beloved master Jordan Peterson was a Trotskyite in his college days?
Solzhenitsyn, not Jordan Peterson.
No, it was Jordan Peterson.
I said everything socialists say.
No, oh, you didn't see it. You didn't see it.
Wait, Jordan Peterson's a Trotskyite?
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
He was a part of the NDP in Canada in his college days, the National Democratic Party. Like that
makes a lot of sense.
The Social Democrat Party. I think Loud Shark is just a little upset that you know, that his daddy Jordan Peterson is a Trotskyite. Oh, Milkman, I can't believe you didn't.
Hitler said everything socialists say. Yeah, well, you know what? Politics is about what you do, not what you say, buddy. That's another, you know, I know you figured out that, oh, not everything is as they seem, but like, let's internalize a second insight, maybe. Politics is about what you do, not what they say. So look at what he did as opposed to just what he said. I mean, is Biden fighting for freedom and democracy? Is he a great warrior for freedom and democracy? He says that all the time.
Biden is the most
a Nazi.
Biden is the most pro-union president we've ever had. But at Loud Shark,
he says it. So you know, there you go. Yeah, is Biden a socialist? He says he's pro-work. Everyone does.
Back to Hitler for a second. I mean, so name some of the socialist things he did. Like, was accepting billions of dollars for the Wehrmacht from British banks. Was that socialist of Hitler? That wasn't very socialist of Hitler. If that's what you mean. You know, just accepting lots of loans from British, German, and French banks. Or maybe maybe it was the fact that he didn't actually support the working class, that he wanted to enslave 90% of Europe, and that all of the this chatter, this jibber jabber that he gave about the working class, none of those programs materialized. All of that money went to building tanks to enslave the Slavic people in Russia and in Eastern Europe. Was that the socialist? Tell me. Maybe you should tell me, because you're the one who has obviously been researching enough and studying enough that you're confident enough to say that Hitler was a socialist.
I'll be way more fair than this guy deserves and say I think there's an argument to be made that he was socialist because the economy was not actually organized for profit, because the finance capital was pouring money in that they weren't expecting to get back. They were pouring it in because they wanted to destroy the Soviet Union.
I mean,
so you could say it was like bourgeois socialist, but it was all about war. It was 100% of the economy was about war. That's all the economy was about. Everything was mobilized for war to go fight the Soviets. So I don't know, dude. I mean, what do you mean by socialist? Are you just trying to say like, oh, you're just like Hitler, like everybody on the internet says? I mean, all right, dude, whatever. So I don't want to go to war with Russia, so I'm not like Hitler.
Yeah, thanks for Anyway, thanks for boosting the chat. Appreciate that.
Okay, how old are you, Loud How old are you? Loud how old are you? I'm gonna start asking people how old they are so I don't dunk on kids, because I feel like I've been dunking on a lot of kids lately. After I saw that 13-year-old thing from Nick Fuentes, I don't want to dunk on kids. I mean, I do, but not in public. We're on stream right now, you know. Anyway, are we gonna wrap this up or what?
No, I want to, because there's just to go over one last thing. This article that I found from Sputnik is just to make a point, because it goes into the history of like just what you were talking about with Operation Paperclip in the United States. This article goes over of how Canada went through the very same thing, why we are where we are with Canadian Parliament, where the entire government looks at the vetted list of guests, sees a 98-year-old Ukrainian Nazi on the guest list and says, "Yep, cool," and then greenlights it. How we got to where we are. This article right here, I suggest you give a read. It goes into the Canadian version of Operation Paperclip. This is the Galicia Division, by the way, the division that Yaroslav Hunka was a member of, that did all the very many war crimes in Ukraine during World War II. Most of this article is like historical stuff, which is not, we don't have the time to go over here in this video. But yeah, just it's pretty thorough. Just all of all of the war-hardened fascists of the Nazi Party, just going over to, like, we all joked, oh, they went to Argentina, they went to Brazil, they came to the United States in Operation Paperclip. A lot of them went to Canada, and a lot of them ended up in the government. And they're a lot less shy about. Yeah, there's New Democratic Party. That's what it is. New Democratic Party. That was the party that Jordan Peterson was a part of when he was in college. The more you know. So even your conservative, your right-wing charlatan heroes are Trotskyists. They're all wreckers and saboteurs. There are no Canadian heroes. I wouldn't be surprised if Stephen Crowder, another Canadian. I wouldn't be surprised if Stephen Crowder, another Canadian, was a trot in his youth.
We should do a stream about the Trotskyist to neocon pipeline, because a lot of these people are ex-Trotskyists that got disillusioned because the working class didn't go along with their insane shit, and then they just decided, oh, we're just going to be neocons.
Yeah, but still sick from last week. Sorry about that.
Our chat's going crazy. I gotta. Loud Shark, do you think is it news to you that the Nazis were liars? Like, yeah, no shit, dude. All right, whatever. I can't read chat anymore. I'm switching it off.
Yeah, the last few paragraphs of this article are worth going over. So yeah, starting with yeah, going over the incidents of the incident from Saturday of inviting a Nazi into Parliament, and again, yeah, this like hand wringing over being embarrassed and having regret. House Speaker Anthony Rota expressed regret, remorse over the decision to recognize Hunka, deepest apologies, even though this happened like many other times. There were many other instances of this happening in Canada. Like in Canada, efforts have also been made to whitewash wartime Ukrainian Nazi crimes. On Remembrance Day in November 2010, the Ukrainian Canadian Congress. Oh, there's like millions of Ukrainians in Canada, by the way. It's like a huge. There's like 2 million Ukrainians who live in Canada. It's a
That's
huge.
where all the nationalists went
Yeah.
after World War II. They all went to Canada.
Like there's a lot of Ukrainians in like Ukrainian fascists in Canada. So on Remembrance Day in November 2010, the Ukrainian Canadian Congress. That's why they have that. Is because there's so many Ukrainian fascists in Congress. Praised SS Galicia veterans as fighters for freedom of their ancestral Ukrainian homeland. The same year, commemorating the late president of the Canadian Society of SS Galicia Vets, the UCC assured that he would be remembered as a hero of Ukraine who fought for her independence. In 2020, Ukrainian groups in Canada honored Bohdan Panchuk, an activist behind the Ukrainian Canadian Servicemen's Association. Again, like that deep ties in the Ukraine.
It's been since the 30s. It's been like this. This is what Nazism has been since the beginning. These are their guys. It's just they got them like in the green room right now, just in case shit gets hairy, and then they'll they'll pull them out, open the monkey cages, and use them to terrorize the working class in case we ever get our shit together and get organized.
Yeah, so
that's what these people's jobs are.
Yeah, I just thought it was worth pointing out that that Canada is like we think the American government is infested.
Canada's worse because Canada's not even Canada doesn't even pretend to be a democracy. It's a monarchy.
The Commonwealth. Yeah.
Yeah, when fucking Trudeau gets sworn in, he swears, I swear to serve Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and be her loyal servant. Well, I guess she's dead, but when he got sworn in, that's what he said. That's how they get she's on their money. I mean, the fact that people think Canada or the UK for that matter are democracies is just completely delusional. Because when they say democracy, they mean we're in charge. Places that we're in charge, those are democracies. Places where we're not in charge, those are authoritarian. Canada must be taken down. Absolutely. On our continent, the Marshall Doctrine did not go far enough. Canada will be liberated 100%.
Yeah, people also joke about Australia being the dumping ground for the degenerate members of British society. Canada is also that, but it's the dumping ground for like all of the fascist elements of Europe. Britain, Germany, and this little paragraph right here. A late 1940s report from Britain's Undersecretary of State, declassified in 2015, privately admitted that Galicia was an SS division and technically all of its officers and senior NCOs are liable for trial as war criminals. Man, why isn't Hunka in jail right now, by the way? But
I said Marshall Doctrine. I meant Monroe Doctrine. There's Monroe Doctrine. Anyway.
Beryl Hughes.
I turned the chat off because I asked if he's a kid. He didn't answer. That means it's probably yes, and I'm not going to dunk on a kid in public. So
don't turn the chat off. We gotta.
I can't help it, dude. I'm not gonna pay attention if the chat's on.
As long as it's still going. As long as you just turn.
Oh my God, there's 46. What is happening in there?
46 right. What?
I missed 46 chats. Well, see, I was paying attention, so we're trying to put on a show here. Can't just yell at the chat.
Yeah, this part right here, shipping 8,000 Ukrainian Nazi recruits held in Britain to Canada, admitted in correspondence in the mid-40s that what little we know of their war record is bad, and that the UK was nevertheless hoping to get rid of the less desirable Ukrainian POWs either to Germany or Canada, instead of prosecuting them or sending them home. So yeah, 8,000 Ukrainian POWs that just magically wind up in Canada, magically winding up in the media, in Parliament, just all over Canadian society.
Yeah,
If there was
but this
one
is
thing-
the great secret. This is the key to unlocking the tyranny, is that they tell you it's bad, but it's actually good, right? The great secret. I'm so sick of these people, man. And like, when I was doing the research for the Marina Abramovich video we did last, I couldn't help but think, like, how much easier it would be to do this research if all I had to do was go to each Wikipedia page, look at the early life, and if they're a Jew, mark it down, and if they're not, just ignore it and move on, because that's all they do. Like, it would be so easy. I could do research in an hour for any topic, right? It's mental illness is what it is. And then
yeah,
they start calling everything Jewish too. I mean, that's what it's literally the same as what the liberals do. They call everything they don't like is Russian propaganda. Everything that the Wignats don't like is Jewish. They just want to change the wallpaper. That's it. That's their grand plan. Their grand dissident plan is just, rearrange the furniture, put up some uglier wallpaper, and then we're done. We have a Christian state instead of a Jewish one, and nothing has fucking changed.
yeah. Oh,
Except
that's something that
They
I
and
want.
their boys get to be the Renfields. That's the difference.
This is something that I wanted to talk about as well, because I just started listening to Max Blumenthal's book, The Management of Savagery, which he goes into a lot of stuff that I didn't know, even in the first chapter, which I'm on, going over, the CIA's covert operations in Afghanistan. This post 9/11 rhetoric of being anti-Muslim in America, and especially in Europe, this idea that Muslims are ruining Europe, Muslims are the number one threat to Western society, is 100% taken out of Benjamin Netanyahu's political playbook. Benjamin Netanyahu was the one who popularized this rhetoric that Western countries start defining terrorism based on Israeli standards of this, like, Muslim extremism, and terrorists as irrational actors who hate democracy and freedom. Like, that's why they are doing this, because they hate freedom, not because the CIA is recruiting insurgents in the communities that are being bombed by NATO and Israel, and part of this.
Hate us for our freedom.
And just how much I didn't know about the government, like the U.S. government involvement in terrorizing Jewish communities in the United States to create this idea that anti-Semitism was this looming threat. 100% government created, but that anti-Semitism was this growing threat, so that they could push Israel, like a Jewish state, as the solution to this supposed rising threat of anti-Semitism in the United States and in Europe. And that makes a lot of sense to me.
Anti-Semitism and Zionism are two sides of the same coin. If you go back to Theodore Herzl's diary, he says it explicitly. He says the anti-Semitic countries will be our best friends, and the anti-Semites will be our greatest allies. In his own words, that was the whole idea behind Zionism. That people are going to go because of anti-Semitism. So you want anti-Semitism, otherwise nobody's going to leave their home countries and move to Israel, right? And they went even as far as in the 50s, Mossad was bombing synagogues in Iraq to psyop Jews there into thinking that there was crazy anti-Semitism, and they would move to Israel. But it was Jewish Mossad agents who were doing it. They've always been two sides of the same coin. Israel can't exist without these Wignat people, and vice versa. Like, that's how it's always been. Go back to Theodore Herzl's diaries from the very beginning.
Yeah, and he pointed out an example of COINTELPRO in the United States, the FBI office that was tasked with dividing leftist organizing, communist organizing, and grassroots movements in the United States, specifically to prevent the creation of a black messiah amongst Black Americans that were just cropping up and like in all of these political movements that had named, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture. Not where I get my name, but
Namesake? Oh,
the COINTELPRO had these people on a list, to prevent, to take them out, so that there was no Black Messiah, this is what, as they called it in the United States. I didn't know that same office of COINTELPRO terrorized Jewish groups in the United States. They sent threatening letters with prominent Black nationalists. Like, they forged letters as if making it seem like they were from Black nationalists, and sent it to prominent Jewish leaders in the country to make sure that there was never going to be a Black and Jewish coalition. Which,
NOI about all this shit.
I knew that COINTELPRO was sending different leadership in the Black Panther Party. They were forging letters and sending it to leadership within the Black Panther Party. I knew that. I didn't realize it was also going on between like Black and Jewish groups. Like the dedication that these spooks have to fomenting division is
divide and conquer.
So intense.
Yep.
So that if you are one of these Wignats who are saying like, oh yeah, there's just natural division, like, oh, I'm just gonna spread all of these videos of Black people looting stores in all of these cities. Like, you're doing the work of COINTELPRO. That's what you're doing, even if you don't know that's what you're doing. But you have these larger accounts that end wokeness, all these right-wing charlatan accounts that are that all have this in sync. They are synchronized, posting all this stuff about how communism is a conspiracy, communism is a conspiracy, and Black people are ruining America, and all of these messages that are brought to you by the same people in intelligence communities in the government who want to keep you from recognizing the class struggle.
ABC, anything but class, absolutely. Yeah, and people like Keith Woods has the balls to say that, oh, Hitler wasn't funded by rich capitalists, which is of course he was, but if that's not what's your path to power? If that's not your path to power, what is? I mean, they don't care about workers. They call them poor fags and biotrash, and they wages. They hate workers, so that's not it. They're super divisive. They hate Black people. They hate Jews. So, although I don't know, there are a weird amount of Black people who are Wignats, which is kind of weird. It's like they've got this untalented 10th that is coming along with them. But anyway.
Oh, that's brutal.
Anyway.
It comes from people like Sneeko. Sneeko is one of the Black Wigs.
Sneeko's just a cloud whore. He'll do anything for clout.
And
but anyway, so you're not gonna have some sort of populist uprising. So what's the move? They just you got to get some rich benefactor and just do this palace intrigue shit. That's your only path to power. And then that Keith Woods guy is such a fucking snake. I hate that guy. I'm not gonna really they won't say they will never come out and say what they actually believe. They play this gay little game where they're like, oh well, the ADL is I'm just asking questions about the ADL. It's I know you'll never catch me playing that game. I'll tell you what I believe right out in the open. I'll put it right out there in neon lights. I'm never gonna play this game where I'm oh, dem boys, it's weird stuff going on. I'm just asking questions. It's gross. They're such little snakes, and it's because they're appealing to 13, 14-year-olds apparently,
who are just discovering 4chan for the first time and learning.
Yeah, and they act like they're aristocrats. Nobody successful posts on 4chan. Just go there and look around. Nobody successful is on that website, okay? And they know it, but they LARP like they're fucking successful because that's all they want. And you know what? I got to say something about all these Andrew Tate, Sneeko, Dan Bilzerian influencers who are
go off,
you just got to get your money up. You just got to get the bag and everything. You want to know the real red pill, guys? You want to know the real red pill? Rich people are fucking miserable. Okay, all of them. That's why they do all this shit. Nobody ever gets rich like Bill Gates, and it's just like, okay, I'm done. I'm rich. I win. No, he's busy as a bee. He's been busy as a bee ever since he became a billionaire. Why? Because none of them are happy, guys. Not all these rich people are fucking miserable. You don't want to be like, do you want to be like Bill Gates? Seriously? Do you want to be like fucking these ghouls? Henry Kissinger, who's like melting a flesh goblin? Do you want to be like these people? But that's what they're selling you because they're selling you scams. And I mean, obviously you need some level of money because if you're like completely broke, you can't be happy, of course. But like if you make money your object, first of all, you'll never have enough. Okay? You'll always need more. And second of all, look at who you're aspiring to be. These people are miserable. They're going all over the world doing their shit because they're not fucking content with what they have. You want to be content? Stop listening to fucking the pimp Andrew Tate or the cloud horse Nico. That's not what you need. You don't, first of all, get rid of this idea that you want happiness. You want a purpose, okay? That's what a man needs. A man needs a purpose. You want to be happy? Go masturbate. A man needs a purpose, okay? And that's what the communist political project can offer you. We can offer you a purpose. We're not going to make you rich. We're not going to give you blowjobs or whatever the fuck. We're going to give you a purpose. Okay? That's what people are really looking for. That's what these 13, I mean, I don't want any fucking 13-year-olds in the audience, but in 5 years, you come back and I'll give you a purpose, okay? And the purpose is take what's ours. We built this country. It's ours. What right do these people have to it? What right do the Rockefellers and the Morgans and the Harrimans and these fucking Nazis who are all they don't care about America. They're all over the world funding people in Ukraine and Taiwan. They're these globalists like octopus all over the world. America is just another battleground for them, another space on the chessboard for them. They don't give a shit about this country. This is our country. This isn't their country. This is our country. Why do they own everything? Why does BlackRock and Bill Gates own land? This is our fucking land. Okay? We're the ones who built this country, but we don't own it. How does that work? So this is the purpose we're going to offer you. We're going to right this injustice in America. We're going to right this wrong. And we're going to take back our goddamn country. And you can have as much money in the world as you want, and it will not make you 1/1,000,000th as happy as working towards that goal will. And that's just the truth. That's the human condition. So turn off the Andrew Tate, cancel the Hustlers University subscription, and read your Marx. That's my message.
Yeah, Infrared has completely exposed that all these right-wing charlatans are secret Trotskyites. Your faves are saboteurs and spies. So you have no other option but to join the communist movement in America. The degenerate left, the degenerate right will be swept aside, and all those who are strong enough to make America great again will join the golden Stalinist center. But with that, folks, we will be wrapping up this stream. We appreciate y'all keeping this chat energized. Love to see y'all beating back the puzzle pieces in the chat. If I know y'all are following us on X.com, on Twitter, you should make sure to follow our new Rumble page where we are uploading all of our old videos, where we will be going live from now on in the future. Links in the chat. So make sure to go and follow us there. And last but not least, make sure to follow us on Telegram. Telegram is the #1 place you should go if you want the earliest updates of what we'll be talking about on any given stream or on Twitter. Make sure to follow us on Telegram. What a wonderful news aggregator. I've been busy lately, just aggregating all that.
Teray's totally running the Telegram. He's killing it. You want to stay abreast of what's going on in the world? Follow the Barracks Telegram.
Yeah, I've been reading up a lot about. I've been reading up a lot about the Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict from sources on Telegram. Doing just educating myself. So yeah, make sure and give us a follow. We appreciate y'all for giving us a watch, keeping us at 8 views consistently throughout this video, and keeping the chat busy. Loud Shark, I know you're going to be back. Loud Shark, when we get haters here at the Barracks, they are lifelong haters. You ain't got to be modest. You're going to be back hating in the chat, and we look forward to having you.
Loud Shark, go back to like 35 minutes about when I talked about the origins of the Nazi Party and watch that. You might learn something.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be reviewing it for the rest of his life, because that's what haters do. In the meantime, folks, we appreciate y'all for tuning in, whether or not you're on YouTube or on X.com.
Don't even know your name. What do you mean? I'm the milkman. It says it right there.
Yeah. You know,
Sorry.
the leader of the people's deep state. First name The, last name Milkman. Like, what aren't you getting about this?
Yeah,
Try to keep up, Sweaty.
You don't know me. I know you. I got my eyes on you. So.
Well, we appreciate y'all. That's all we got, folks.